Hey folks, it's Troy and I'm going to do another hike today. It's along the Eagle Creek Trail. This is a national forest, so bring either $5 to pay at this self-pay box, or if you have the America Beautiful Pass, it is also valid. Let's get started. So this trail starts off, and right away you can see there's a creek. And the trail is very well maintained. They say that it's moderate in terms of the terrain, so it's fairly level right now. We'll see how it goes. So you see that on this part of the trail there are some rocks. I believe they're basalt rock, and from my understanding, much of this Columbia Gorge and this specific mountain are basically comprised of basalt rock. So at this part of the trail, there's this cable attached to the wall that you can hold on to. The trail is somewhat narrow, and I imagine when it rains, you can see there's water on the ground. And rocky, it could get slippery. And if you were to fall, it would not be a gentle landing. Punchbowl Falls is one of the noted sites on this trail. We're going to take this path. It goes down to the base of the falls. Once in a while you'll come across obstacles in this trail, fallen tree or something. Just try to find a safe way around it. There's a good step here. Step over. There you go. Just don't slide down. Creek. This is Punchbowl Falls. This is Punchbowl Falls. I kind of envisioned something different. I mean, it is a big punch bowl. There's a huge deadwood fall and kind of log jam. And then the creek continues. I'm actually standing on the log jam. I guess there's a lot of warnings that you're not supposed to dive or jump off this falls. It could be dangerous with all these logs. Fortunately, there's not an easy way that I see to get down to the water. I'm going to explore a little bit more. Look at this knot in this wood. I think this is an area where a lot of people have used this log to either walk out across the falls or along this route. And it's just been smoothed over from people touching it. Gnarly. Okay, I think I figured it out. The way to access this beach is basically traverse this log jam all the way here to where I'm at. But this log it's a good 20 feet above the water. It does look like it's well traversed. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, I figured it out. So there's this upper log, and I'm sure that some people just easily walk across it. It's maybe about 2 feet wide, but the surface at the top is maybe a foot wide. And then there's this lower log right here. And I think what is possible is to walk on the lower log while bracing myself on the higher log. That's probably a safer way to go about it. I'm gonna try it. These logs are very well lodged in here. I don't know how long they've been here, but it seems like that's the route to go. Okay, you can see what I'm doing is I'm walking across this lower log, and then I'm bracing myself with my hand on this upper log, and I'm gonna traverse down across that log, hopefully to get to this beach. And if you want to see where Punchbowl is, the falls, there's Punchbowl Falls. Okay, so I walked across this lower log, bracing myself on the upper log. I came down here, crawled underneath this log going across. I'm out on this log. It points down the river. And I kind of miscalculated. I thought that this was perhaps an easy way, but I'd have to take my shoes off or get my feet wet to get across this part of the creek. But what a beautiful water hole. It's just crystal clear. You can see about, I don't know, it looks like 20 feet down, 15 to 20 feet down. I bet it's cool water too. I'm gonna think about this. Okay, so I'm standing on this log, and I found these footsteps onto that beach. I think I can walk there and then cross underneath the log to this beach. The water here is very shallow. It's only maybe 6 inches deep. There may be a little deep spot right there, but no more than a foot. It is running kind of rapidly. Below it, there's like a little pool. So I think it's pretty safe to cross here. I'm gonna try it. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to cross a creek. You can take your shoes off and go barefoot. Oftentimes, you can just walk across in your shoes with your socks on. And if you have wool socks and breathable shoes, they'll eventually dry out. Another method is to take your socks off and then just wear your shoes across. So you can see this is pretty rocky, and this is basalt, and they're kind of sharp rocks. I'm not real familiar with this creek, and so I don't know what is on the bottom of it. So I am going to go without socks, but wear my shoes. I'm gonna keep my socks dry, and hopefully my shoes will dry out quickly. But that's the method that I'm gonna try to cross this little creek. You know, if it was a longer day and there's more sunshine, I would just wear my shoes and my socks in the creek, cross it, and let them dry out. But I'm not familiar with this creek. It's cold water. Now I have a full day of hiking ahead of me, so I'd like to keep my socks dry. And my shoes, I believe, will dry out fairly quickly.
And yeah, so this is the way that I decided to cross this particular creek. Each one's a little different. The rocks in the bottom of that creek were pretty smooth, it seemed. It wasn't deep at all. The deepest was maybe a foot. So anyway, I'm at the bottom of the fall and at the pool. So this is Punchbowl Falls and the swimming hole. You know, to get down to the water level, you have to cross this little log jam. It's not too difficult. It's a nice hike. I think it's only about 2.5 miles in and 2.5 miles out. You get to see a beautiful waterfall and swim in a crystal clear, cool pool. A pretty cool experience. So one thing you'll realize after you've been to a number of the bases of these waterfalls is that once you go to the base of a waterfall, you have to climb your way out. So it's an uphill hike to get out, to get from the base of the waterfall back to the main trail. So be prepared for that. So I think I just made a major mistake. You can see that waterfall there. I believe that that is the actual Punchbowl Falls. What I was at was probably like a lower falls, which was somewhere around, you know, this area over here. I already have climbed out of the canyon and I'm on my way back out. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back and actually see the Punchbowl Falls at the base. What a bummer. So if you get to that water hole where I was at, make sure that you go a little further up the canyon and you'll see the actual Punchbowl Falls. Ugh. There in the distance is the falls. And this is what they talk about when they talk about a gorge. Look at these walls. They drop probably 200 feet down to the creek. And look at this tree. This tree is probably 300 feet tall. Simply amazing. So as you can see, this tree has been charred. It is still alive. And this tree next to it as well. It was charred. There was a fire that came through this Eagle Creek area about 2017. And for the most part, a lot of this underbrush has grown back. There are some fallen trees. There are some dead trees. So I waded across that creek in my shoes without my socks. And I hiked about, I don't know, 30 minutes after that without my socks, just with the shoes on. And I didn't get any blisters or hot spots, so that's good. But now I've put my socks back on because my shoes on the inside have pretty much dried out. Not so much from the heat of the day or the sun, but just from the heat of my body or my feet. They're still a little bit moist. These are kind of new shoes for me, and the mesh and the tongue are a little bit, I guess, more absorbent than I would like them to be. But I have wool socks on, and it should be fine if I continue to walk. Shouldn't get any hot spots or blisters. So that's kind of my method for the day.
Some of you may be wondering, how come I didn't just turn around and go back and see the actual Punchbowl Falls? The reason is twofold. It was an early morning hike, and I actually had a second hike in a different location planned for the afternoon. So I was a little concerned about taking the extra time to go back to the actual Punchbowl Falls. In addition, I did this hike the day before I was supposed to return home, and I needed to find a internet connection in order to check in for my flight. And so I was pressed for time because I had 2 hikes planned, as well as I needed to return to a town where I could get an internet connection. So that's why I didn't return back to the actual Punchbowl Falls. Not a great excuse, but it's reality, and sometimes we have to make these decisions when we're adventuring. If I had to do it all over again, I would have been more cautious and confirmed which falls I was at, where I was located, and I actually would have allocated my time better. Irregardless, even though I didn't get to see the actual Punchbowl Falls, and I didn't get to show you the actual Punchbowl Falls, it was still a great adventure, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.